This is the announcement, and I want to start off by saying this before I play this announcement and talk about it. I consider myself an ally to the LGBTQ community. And sometimes when you are a friend or an ally, and I say the same thing, I'm not an identitarian. So it sounds weird for me to say with black people. I'm separating myself because I'm talking about black people who view their skin color as their primary identity. So I don't associate with them. But for those who do, and I'm an ally to them too, for those who look at skin color as your primary identity, I'm an ally for you too. So that's why when Joe Biden says, you ain't black if you don't vote for me, that's why I go to those who look at skin color as identity and I say, you are in a poisonous relationship when somebody tells you that. And I have the same message for the LGBTQ community right now. I am an ally. I support any identity, whatever you want to be. I support your right to do and feel what you want to do and be yourself. But just because I'm giving you a warning or some feedback, an opinion, doesn't mean I'm not an ally. Oh, I'm an ally. I'm just going to have a conversation with you. If you don't know what's going on, Christopher Rufo broke a couple, I think they got it from a corporate meeting or something from Disney. So he broke this story here, and I'll play some of it just to start off, and I'll let people get into the live here. And what I'm going to do is play some of it and then talk through my feelings with it and some of my frustrations with those on the non-bootlegging left. They're still going down this pedo route, and it's a distraction. And I've really gotten in touch with this since the Ketanji Brown Jackson hearing, and I'm like, where are you guys going with this pedo stuff? That's not what's happening. I know that the thing that happened with E-Dog and his alleged suicide and all these things kind of lead people down the path of, I don't trust the institutions, so everybody's trying to be a pedo. And we've got to fall back off of that. That's not real. That's not, in my opinion. Of course, there's a percentage of pedos, but that's not the overarching thing. Just like those who disagree with the Florida bill that they labeled Don't Say Gay, just like I would say to them, if you consider half the country bigoted, there's something in your head that doesn't make any sense. Half the country is not a bigot. And I would say the same thing to people on the right. Half the country are not pedos. Stop with the pedo stuff. Use that as becoming kind of almost like a racist term being used. You know how the left uses racist and now it doesn't mean anything? Pedo is pretty soon not going to mean anything. So I would recommend falling back off of that. And that's not really what's happening, in my opinion.
I'm here as a mother of two queer children, actually, one transgender child and one pansexual child, and also as a leader. And that was the thing that really got me, because I have heard so much from so many of my colleagues over the course of the last couple of weeks in open forums and through emails and phone conversations. And
so she's talking about the feedback that she got. That's legitimate. No matter what you feel about the issue, if I've got this pressure, even if it's a small portion of the employees, but I think it's a significant enough one, and it's getting press for her to step up and say, how do we address it? That is absolutely fair.
Responsibility to speak, not just for myself, but for them, to all of us. We had an open forum last week at 20th where, again, the home of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years, where one of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters.
I like that comment. She just said we don't have enough representation. She's talking about the identity. So whatever identity she's talking about sounds like LGBTQ and minorities. I like what she said there. She said, she wanted more stories where they can just be characters and not. So I'm interpreting that as it's a character that represents this group, but they're just a normal person. They're just a normal character. I think that's where Disney can actually provide value to this. And I'm going to talk about it after I finish this clip here. I think that was the best part of this. I'm going to rewind it a little bit. I'm old school talking about rewinding something. Here.
Leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters and not have to be about gay stories. And so that's been very eye-opening for me. And I can tell you, it's something that I feel perhaps had this moment not happened, I as a leader and me as my colleagues would not have focused on. And going forward, I certainly will be more so. I know that we will be, and I hope this is a moment where, the 50% of the tears, sorry, are coming. We just don't allow each other to go backwards.
In a large part, I have no problem with her comments there. Here's where the problem comes for me is if I were to do this and say, hey, I'm going to increase the representation about these identities that I care so deeply about, I'm going to assume good intent here. I know there's comments in there about how she's feeling. I don't know what's in her head. I'm going to assume good intent. You know, it is possible, it's very possible that Disney could have said, you know what? We want to do more representation, but at the same time, we're not going to demonize DeSantis. We're not going to demonize this bill, and we're not going to demonize fellow citizens who support the bill. You know, that is a possibility. That's not what they're doing. They're coming out, and not in this clip here, but they're coming out very strongly against the bill. Instead of saying, hey, we don't have any problem. Here's what we do at Disney. We create heartwarming stories. And I see a divide in our country. And maybe we can use Disney as a platform to create heartwarming stories with representation that, I don't know, maybe brings us together for a couple hours to watch a movie. Why isn't that a possibility? It is a possibility. And because they didn't do that, it makes me wonder why. Because that's what, and I had a comment here from Quadruple Vax who said it's about restructuring society and its power dynamic. That is a fair criticism. Because if you weren't about restructuring the power dynamic, you would say so. You would be able to say, hey, I'm not really about restructuring anything here. We're Disney. We want people to hug after our movies. We want people to cry joy after our movies. We don't get into politics. We might donate and all that, but that's just the game. Every company donates. We're not taking a political stance here. We're taking a stance of love of country, love of fellow citizens, whether you're in the LGBTQ community, whether you're Black, whether you're Native American, whether you're MAGA, whether you're a libertarian. We're going to represent all of you in these movies, and you're going to see some stories where they're just characters, and we realize we're all the same. If Disney was really about what Disney purports themselves to be about, I would expect a take more like that. But no, that's not the take. That's not their position. And that's why I have a problem. It's not about representation. I'm all for that. If you want to do that, if you don't want to see it, then you just don't have to watch it. If they were really about respecting everybody as well, they could do a spin-off. Disney, if you want to do that much, 50% representation, which is perfectly fine, you could do a Disney, rainbow division. You could do a separate division. And so you could say, when you come to the Disney Plus, you can go to Disney. I'm just throwing it out. That's not to be disrespectful. I just don't want to keep on saying LGBTQ. But you can do Disney LGBTQ, or you can do Disney Plus, and you can decide. Or you could say, hey, I like them all, so you don't need to decide. It's all mixed in. So if you are, people who are religious are not always for this type of stuff, or if you're not religious and maybe you're like me and I'm like, my kids are a little young. I have a kid that's almost 3, kid that's 5.5 about, and I'm like, I just want him to live his life. I'm not really into having the discussion yet. You could call me a bad parent for that or whatever, but that's just how I feel, and my wife and I will decide that. So maybe you don't have anything against it, and you just say, hey, I just don't want that right now. And I'll be able to go down the road and see it. Why couldn't they announce that? That we're going to say, hey, we're going to respect everyone on this end. I think the feedback that we're seeing about people coming out so hard against this and saying, coming really hard against it. I might show some of the feedback to show you what I'm talking about. I really think a lot of it is more about Disney not respecting where they are. It's more about Disney not respecting where they are than anything. So here's a video. I'll just go through some of the feedback here just so you can see what I'm saying. So somebody said they did not see the 50% representation quota. I went straight to the Disney Reimagine Tomorrow website. This is clipped straight from the website, and it says, by 2022, so the end of the year, 50% of regular and recurring characters across Disney General Entertainment scripted content will come from underrepresented groups. That's not my deal, but I have no problem with it. They can do that, of course. And I'm trying to put my money on places that I align with more on the philosophy, scale, ideology. I'm trying to do that, but I'm not canceling Disney over this, in my opinion. Maybe I would one day, but I don't have a problem with that. It's more about, is the story good? Like, how about that? Like, can we just make sure that the story is good? I don't really care too much about that stuff. I'll vet the movies though. If it's something that I'm not like, I don't want my kids to watch that now, I just won't have them watch it. But it is a little different, because back in the day, we would just put on a Disney movie and watch it. Now, I'm going to vet it first. Just like when we go to the library. Back in the day, when I went to the library with my parents, they didn't need to vet the books. We just got books and magazines and it was all good. If it was from the children's section, it was good. Nowadays, I'm vetting it. Not that I'm against anything, it's that I want to make sure what I'm getting into is what I want to get into.